everyone, it's Andy from Hobby Headquarters. Well, I have an exciting new model kit to build up and show you guys today. This is a brand new kit that'll be out probably in about 2, maybe 3 months max on it right now at the time of this filming. This is the Tamiya 35th scale Type 16 combat vehicle for the Japanese Ground Self-Defense Force. And if you look at it right away, it's a armored vehicle, not a tank. But it's got wheels on the bottom as well as a big turret on top there. It's very, very similar to the American Striker vehicle that has I can't remember the numbers offhand, but it has the big turret up on there as well. Was looking through this vehicle or this kit a little while ago, and I also did a review video a little bit earlier that'll break down all the parts. So we won't do that in this particular video. We're actually just going to build up the entire thing. It looks like it's a pretty easy, straightforward kit. There's 5 total sprues inside, and excited to get going on it. So let's get started on it. Okay, I said I wasn't going to do a review portion of the kit because we are going to be building it up. But what I am going to do right now, as you can see, we're going to take a quick look at all the sprues. Since this is a brand new kit and is not in production for a little while, I thought I'd give you a chance to take a look at those. Okay, now we can start working on the hull, both upper and lower. And as you can see here on the upper part of the hull, Tamiya has included some nice anti-skid panels already in place, so nothing we have to do on that. Now I've started gluing on a few parts onto here, and first of all I've put these 6 pegs in, and that is going to attach the bottom and the top of the hull, as well as the 3 periscopes right here. And I normally don't like putting the periscopes in this early in a build, just because we have to go back and try to paint around them. But because the vehicle gets sealed up at this time, right after this, we have to put those in right now. So we'll go back in a little while before we paint and put a little liquid mask on the front of all that, so we keep that in order. And then the upper and lower hull is pretty straightforward. There are some witness marks on the bottom down here that'll line up the top and bottom of the hull. And that'll kind of just click together, as you can see, like that. We're going to, of course, go ahead and glue this. And then it is just a matter of gluing the 2 long side pieces on. And they literally just click right into place here. And with the other side going on, of course, we're going to glue all this in a couple of seconds here. You can see we have the majority of the hull already ready to assemble. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to take a few minutes. I'm going to glue all of this together, and we'll come back and we'll start working on the back and the front of the vehicle. So let me show you what I'm working on right now. What I'm doing right now is I'm painting all of the clear red and clear amber colors that are going to go onto the lights on the vehicle. And I'm painting them all from behind. You want to paint the back of all the lights all the time. The reason that is you'll never see brushstrokes when you paint the back of the clear plastic, because when you look through the front, you're just seeing the clear plastic and then you see the color. Now we have to go ahead and paint these first. And that is because all of the light fixtures get glued in from the back of each one of these panels. So if we glue it in, if you don't glue it in now, and you glue this together, you're not going to get it in there properly. So we're going to go ahead and let those lights completely dry, and then we will glue them in the back. Now on the back here, I've gone ahead and glued up the mud flaps that are going to go on here, and there are 2 little push pin marks that I'm in the process of taking off right now. Now they are on the back, the inside where the wheel would go in here. There's nothing on the very outside of the vehicle, but I thought just in case you might be able to look up inside and see one of those push pins, but that's up to you. They might not even be there at all once we get all these transmission and suspension in. Then once we get the lights all built up, we'll be able to go ahead and glue this back right into position right here. And it's a real nice, firm, tight fit. That'll take no time at all. And the same for the front. We have the drop-in lights that'll glue in from behind. Now, once we get all these lights into place, we're either going to have to try to mask over them, or using the liquid mask, like I said, just go ahead and touch up around there. Hopefully it shouldn't be too difficult. And once that gets done, same thing, gets glued right into place just like that. And that is the majority of our hull. You know, the basics of it. We have to do all the suspension and all that. So now I have to let this dry for, I want to let it dry for a while because the paint goes on kind of thick for this. So at least a half an hour, we're going to let that dry. We'll go ahead and put all the lights together, assemble it all, and we'll come back and work on the next step. Okay, while we're letting the headlights and tail lights dry, we're going to go ahead and start working on the suspension. And right now I'm putting in poly caps into the front. And what this is going to do is it's going to allow the vehicle's front four wheels to steer. And so we'll put this. There we go. This one particular one is different shape than all of the other ones. So just got to keep those straight. Now, once we have those glued into place, we can go ahead and glue this little bit of shielding on the bottom down here. And then over to the side here, I have 5 different pieces of the front suspension, and this is all, or steering I should say, and these all go in a certain particular way, or a certain pattern I should say. And I'm going to do a little more sanding on these, but for temporarily right now. So this is the B, and this is the C version. And finally, there's this one other little piece here that goes inside first, and then we can attach this final one. And what will happen, because they're in poly caps, all of this stuff turns. And then we should be able to link all of these together and get the steering to work on it. Now, it also calls out at this point to start attaching these little steps. And I'm actually going to hold off a little bit on this until we build a little bit more of the suspension. That way, if we have to flip this over, I just foresee these all getting broken off very, very easily. And there's just 3 of them, so it'll be very easy to attach later. So I'm going to take these apart, sand them right now. It just will take a second. And then we'll show you the rest of the steering going together. Okay, I'm just snapping in the front bar here for the steering, and you don't want to use any glue on this particular portion, because if you do, nothing will move, but if you snap them in just right, you'll get this type of action right here, and you get steering for all 4 wheels. Now, there is one more bar that goes across here, but you do not put that one on until the rest of the parts go inside here. So we're going to work on that next. Okay, now it's time to start putting the front axle together, and it is pretty easy and straightforward based on the instructions. We've got our framework here, and there are pins and holes all over the entire thing, so it makes it very easy to make everything line up. I'll show you a little bit more close up, so that's going to get glued in there. And finally, the last little piece. Okay, I've gone ahead and put the little 2 braces that will hold this in. So this is ready to get glued into place. And as you would imagine, just clicks into place. I also went ahead and assembled the second suspension B, and goes together very, very similar to suspension A, and it too will just drop right into place here. And then we can go ahead and link up those other 2 pieces that we were talking about. And the only other little piece is this little piece here, that little arm, and it just falls right into place, and we'll glue it, you can see, right into there where it belongs. And now that I think of it too, I think it'd probably be easier to put this on before we go ahead and put suspension part B, because it looks like it might be in the way of my big fingers right here. And then everything works just the way it's supposed to. So I will go ahead and glue suspension A and B on, and then I'm going to probably just build up C and D. I think they're going to go together pretty much the same. There's no working mechanism for steering underneath there, so it's basically putting like gearing, this framework around it, and then the A-arms on it. So I'm going to go ahead and put all that together, and we'll come back and show you what it looks like when it's done. Okay, we've got the suspension pieces all assembled, and we're just gluing those into place. And I'll go back in a little while and put a little extra glue on there, and these are all lining up really good, kind of just snap into place. Once you get that part done, there are a couple of little shocks that drop in down here and then just slide in up on top like that. And then inside here, I've gone ahead and assembled these already. This is the brake caliper, as well as inside there's a poly cap. So with the poly cap inside, kind of show you if I can do this right here. You drop this piece down here, lock that, and you come back with this little, and then after you get that on, you can go and put that little piece, and you can see how the entire mechanism is going to work. Now you have to be very careful to make sure that there are 4 completely different pieces for the front. So you've got the 2 right front, the 2 left front. Okay, we've gone ahead and put the last little bits of pieces on, and all of the inside of the wheels, and you can see all of this works really well. Now what I've temporarily done is I've just snapped the wheel inside the tire for now, just because we want to pop these all on. Couple reasons. A, I went ahead and put the ladders on now, so that'll help protect all of the ladders that we've gone ahead and put in, and it'll also give us a little bit of a feeling of accomplishment that, you know, that the vehicle's moving along. And I have to say, I was very, very impressed with the way all of that has gone together. Did a beautiful job the way Tamiya put it all together. And flip that over, and there you go. We've got our front steering as well as everything else on there. I think we're ready to start working on the upper part of the hull and then eventually onto the turret. I was looking over the last little bits of parts, and there actually is virtually just a couple of pieces that we need to put on to finish up the upper part of the hull. And I'll show you. These are the 3 pieces, the little vent right here, as well as a hatch. Those 3 parts will get glued in. I've already gone ahead and glued in the grab handle and the little hooks back here where the tow hooks will go on to. So after that, and this side little piece here too that's got another little ladder on it. So the upper hull is now complete other than tools. We still do have to put the tools on, but you know I like to put those on last after we've done all the painting. Okay, now we can begin work on building the turret. And what I've done is I've kind of assembled up a couple of little sub-assemblies to start us on the way. First thing you have to do is put the gun in place, and I've installed the poly caps inside the front here. Get this lined up. You also want to make sure obviously that you've got it going in the right direction as well, with the machine gun on the left side you're facing out, or right side looking at the actual vehicle. So we've got that in place. Now for the top, once again, we have the vision blocks, periscopes. We have to put in 6 of them here and 1 of them right here. This one's got a little shield over the top, but once again they only can be put in from the bottom, so we need to take care of that in advance. And then once we get that done, put a little glue on these pegs. These pegs are actually already part of the mold, so that is not something you need to install. And there's little pins on the other side there that correspond up to it. And what we'll do is we'll let this set up for a few minutes before we glue the front to make sure we get a nice straight. You can see that it lines up really well. And while that's setting up, I've gone ahead and attached the smoke grenades on the side here. These were a couple of little separate pieces on both sides. Very easy to put in. The majority of this is all one piece. And as soon as this dries, we can go ahead and glue the sides onto the turret, just like this. Get it on both sides there. And we have the majority of the turret built at that point. Now, there are a few other little pieces too. The mantlet here is a separate piece, actually two separate pieces that'll get put into place here. And now that we've let that set up for a few minutes now, we can go ahead and put the back piece in. And now we can also go ahead and start attaching the side panels too. Now, a second ago, you may see me, I was messing with this, and at first, for a second, I thought I had put this piece in wrong. I was like, I'm following the instructions, but there actually is 3 holes on this. So this one big hole up on the top doesn't have anything corresponding, and you have to take this and tuck this inside, hear the little click, and then that piece will line up in there. And then, of course, now this barrel is mostly one piece in the sense that the tube is solid one piece. We do have to put like the bore evacuator and the little bit of shielding on it, but you can see how that'll fit right into place there. Okay, now that we're talking about the barrel like we were, it's time to actually put the barrel together. Now there is a separate piece for the muzzle of the gun, so it makes it look hollow. Now there is a specific way that this, let me line it up here. You can see there's a little groove up on top, but there's a specific way that the bore evacuator actually fits into place there, and you'll really notice it once you actually get it to seat. And hopefully you can kind of see here, the top sticks out much farther than the bottom on it. So put a little glue on that, and it's just a matter of getting it going the right direction pretty much. You can see how even on this piece how there's a big and a tall side, so the tall side goes up on top there. Get that glued together, and then the other piece we have to work on, this has little pegs inside of it, so this makes it a little bit easier to line up. So we've got that going the wrong way. It's going to go like that, and it is going to be a little bit of effort to clean up that parting line, but it's something we definitely can do. And that's what our barrel will look like. So I'll spend a little bit of time cleaning up all of the surfaces, getting rid of the seams, getting this all to look like it's actually a real canvas pouch. But before we do that, I'm going to work on the turret a little bit more and just show you a few other things. There is a poly cap that goes inside here, and with that poly cap in there, we can mount this piece on. And then there is for the commander's cupola, we've got this piece that'll cover up most of all the vision blocks there. So I'm going to work on the barrel a little bit right now, get those other parts glued down, and then we'll go on to the next step. Real fast too, I was just starting to get this portion all cleaned up, and I thought I'd do a little test fit real fast. And you'll notice that a good 75% of that shroud is going to get completely buried inside the mantlet right there. So keep that in mind before you go crazy trying to sand off the seam in there. You might really want to just work on just the front of it here. Now the bottom gets shown, but you'll never actually see that on there once it's mounted on the vehicle. Okay, we've jumped a little bit ahead here by putting on all the last little bits and pieces all over the vehicle, including like the CITV unit up on top, the rangefinder, all of the hatches that, if I can grab it here, they too work and open and close on it. Now, I've also put the 50 cal into place here and assembled that. And what I've basically done now too is I've sprayed the entire vehicle with the kind of like the base color of the vehicle, and it's a Japanese Self-Defense Force olive drab for 2 reasons. First of all, we're not going to do the black and white technique on this particular vehicle because all the pictures I saw, they're all kind of fresh and new looking, and we don't want to really make it look faded and used. And the other 2 colors that go onto this are XF72 and XF73, the Japanese Self-Defense Force dark green and brown. So we'll be putting that on, and it appears that the whole lower surfaces from inside the wheel wells underneath are all still that olive drab. Everything except the wheels themselves, those are actually painted the brown and the green that we'll also be putting on. So I took all the wheels off, painted the entire thing. For the other reason was also to see if we had any flaws. It's kind of acting like our NATO black, and we could tell if like the barrel needed any more sanding. And I did. I actually found a little flaw over on the other side that I took care of after I noticed it when we sprayed it that way. What I'll do is I'll knock this out from underneath here too. And we've also gone ahead and put all the last little plates on the bottom. And as you can see, now that it's all painted up, how the mechanism looks really, really cool on the bottom of this vehicle for the steering. So we're at the point now, like I said, it's gone together absolutely wonderfully. This is probably about the culmination of about a day and a half of work, and that includes in between working with customers in here in the store, as well as, you know, editing and all the other videos. So a fabulous kit, great fit on everything. Now you may also notice too, there are a few holes throughout the entire vehicle, and those are for all the tools. I like to paint the tools separately and put them on. So with this in place now, I can go ahead. I'm going to remove the rubber off of the wheels, take the tires off. We'll paint the hubs individual colors, and then we'll go ahead and spray the 72 and 73 over the whole vehicle, kind of making some random camouflage. The vehicle instructions do come with a little breakdown on the color. And you can see the Japanese self-defense olive drab and then the green and the brown up on top. So I think we'll just go ahead and do it just like it shows it in the instructions. The last step I'm doing now is just taking some of our brown panel liner from Tamiya and blotting most of it out, and then just going over and highlighting all of the little bolts, handles, anything like that, just lightly. And it's a little shiny right now, but once it dries, it'll dry flat, and we will have a little bit of detail on all of these little things to make it pop a little bit more. Now there's a lot of them here, so it's going to take a little bit of time, but I think it'll look a lot better once we get done. So I'm going to go ahead and finish that off, and we'll come back and show you what it looks like when it's done. Oh, I should also point out too, before we do this, we have sprayed the entire model with Tamiya's TS80, their dull flats. I'm also using a little bit of streaking grime on some of these areas and through here. And we're first just putting down a little coat of thinner, then putting a little bit of the grime on it. Kind of blending it into the tire just to highlight some of the areas. And we're going to blot most of this off in a few minutes. We're also doing it some of these areas in through here. Just I've already kind of done it up there just to make everything kind of pop a little bit. I didn't want to make it super dirty, but it's as I'm going along here, it's really making some of these things pop out quite a bit. So now I know it looks pretty heavy right there, but put a little bit more thinner on and just start working it in. And then using a paper towel, we can blot the majority of it off here. Take the brush dipped in thinner again and just kind of work through. Just kind of dirty it up a little bit. Not filthy, but look like it's actually been used a little bit. I know in the beginning I said I wasn't going to do that, but like I said, the more I started doing it, the more it started looking cooler and cooler. So I go, we'll put a little bit of dirt and grime on this one. So I'm gonna do basically like I do on all the other videos. We're gonna put the grime all over, just lightly, and then take the majority of it off, just working down. So if there are any streaks, it looks like it's something that's dripping off the vehicle. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish that up right now. Okay, well here we go, guys. Here is our completed model. And after I did all the other weathering that you just watched me do, I went and took the entire model, sprayed it one more time with a dull coat, and just lightly dusted a little bit of light sienna on the wheels and just on some of the areas, just to give it a little bit of a dusty effect on the lower parts of the thing. Now I also put the tools on and painted them the actual color, because the pictures that were included with the kit show that the tools were painted the exact body color too. So looks like the tools are in place and they just sprayed right over it. You may have also noticed too that little spot that is black. It also shows up right here, and there is a panel that is a black color on there. I really like those orange indicators on the side too. It makes it pop out. Just notice I need to put some antennas on there as well, but you can see what it's basically going to look like right there. Now the kit itself, like we were saying earlier, went together like a typical Tamiya kit, and glue is almost not necessary. It is needed in this kit, just kidding, but meaning that it just almost snaps together. It goes and fits so tight. So I want to thank you guys as always for watching, and please stay tuned because we have many more videos coming.